Hey, you're muted, but you know that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. I will just send, I think, a final reminder saying we are starting in 5 and the link.
I asked my mom, and she said she'll be joining.
Yes, your mom joined at noon.
Yeah, she didn't realize she thought this was a monthly research meeting, which always start at noon.
Yes, yes. Option. Okay. Oh, this is the right name. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. When you joined, you heard recording in progress.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And if you want to change your name, you can. Do you have 3 dots to that in the top right corner,
Sure.
and
What
an
should I
option
change
of
my name to?
No, no, don't. I was just thinking that because we are recording this and putting it on the website, I will say that if you want a different name to appear or change it to your initials, you can.
Hmm. No, that's okay.
For other, not but for, I will say it to everyone.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hey,
Caitlin is from Global Genes. She will be doing the heavy lifting. I'm just introducing the concept. Hi, Caitlin.
Hello.
hey.
How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you all?
Good. Todd, this is Caitlin. Caitlin, this is Todd, the patient behind all of the reason we all started.
Oh, awesome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, Caitlin.
And before we let people in, do you want to quickly check if your slides are working, advancing, etc.?
Yes. Let's see. Can you see slides?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You know, I noticed the logo, but I think the color is different. Can you see our
Yeah,
logos?
me too.
They are I don't know what happened.
I will fix it on your community page
Yeah, of
after
course.
this.
Yes.
If you don't mind, if you just send me, I don't know what happened. That's super weird. If you send me a new one, I can get it updated on the community page right after this.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I should post. We have officially thought you can register because our community page, the home page, is already up. I
Awesome.
think I will.
Great.
Um, I don't have slide. I just have a couple of sentences of introduction, and then I will pass on to you.
Perfect. My portion is probably not even 15 minutes. It kind of just depends on how many questions are asked and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
And you can make me a host to let
Okay.
people in when you are talking.
Um,
Okay.
okay. And do you see the waiting room now?
Yes.
For some reason, I am in the waiting
This
room. I don't know why.
you are
Ignore,
on the
please
waiting
ignore.
list twice. I don't know why.
I don't know why, but don't click on it because I don't know.
Maybe that's someone else.
It never
Actually, it's
happened.
9.
Hmm?
Actually, it's 9, so I think we can start people let in.
For now, I should tell you there's one person except for us. But
Maybe
we don't
that's
know them. But we don't know them. Okay, I will let, I think him. Mm-mm. Hi, hello. And Matt is here. Okay. Did Matt drop off?
maybe.
My mom is on the wrong link. So
What does it mean, a wrong link?
I had something similar. We'll see if I can figure out how to. I'll see if I can. Yeah.
You can also tell her I just sent an email with a link. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Brad.
Hello.
Hey.
I think we're waiting for Todd's mom, and we will go ahead. So, Sylvia, you have the waiting room covered, right?
Yes.
I don't have to worry about this.
Don't.
I don't know if we want to wait for her. If you wanted to get going.
Okay. Okay, I will get going, and you can tell her she should have the correct email in her inbox right now. Yeah, okay. Okay. Welcome and thank you for joining. For those who don't know me, my name is Ania Cordala. I'm the program director for Cure MFM13. I will open briefly, 5 minutes at tops, and then I will pass on to Caitlin Hobbs, a senior manager of community engagement from Global Genes, who has joined us today to walk us through the platform. And there will be time for Q&A. You can type it in the chat, you can raise your hand, or you can just ask away. We are a small group. We are recording this meeting, and we will make this recording available to our community on our website. So if you are okay with your name as it is, you don't have to do anything. If you would rather change it, if you hover over your picture on Zoom, on the top right corner, 3 dots should appear. And if you click on these 3 dots, and there should be a rename option, and you can change your name to anything else, initials or anything that does not identify you. I think that's all for housekeeping. Today is a very important day for the MFM13 community. We are starting a data collection platform or patient registry with RARE-X. We are very lucky to have found RARE-X. Caitlin will introduce it much better than I will, so I will just briefly say that we are joining over 130 patient advocacy groups and diseases that are represented on the platform, and it's over 4 years worth of data. This includes other adult onset diseases, which is not obvious in rare disease space, and other neuromuscular diseases. This data is research grade and researchers can get anonymized access, so it's high quality. If you have ever filled out our previous registry with courts, RARE-X is working with courts to make sure the data is not lost, but the data is connected or carried over. The aim of the registry is to gain insights into how MFM13 changes over time in individual patients and as a group. And of course, only the patients know what it is like to live with MFM13 and how it changes over time. And the registry or the data collection platform is a part of the entire ecosystem that we are building at Cure MFM13 with the ultimate goal of developing a treatment for this disease. So far, the only clinical data that exists in literature is a snapshot, and it comes from the published case studies. And with this platform, with this data collection, we are hoping to turn a snapshot into a movie. So we will encourage you now, and we will be encouraging you in the future to fill it out regularly, not only once. But by regularly, I don't mean once a month, I mean once a year, or when a significant event occurs. So a symptom disappears or a symptom appears. Because even the best designed registry is useless without your data in it. We are hoping to get it in front of rare disease researchers and clinicians, and they can search for different symptoms where they go through the platform. Some therapies, of course, will be gene or mutation specific, but some will address symptoms and can potentially benefit a larger number of patients. It is going to take time, but the time will pass anyway. So regardless of whether we start collecting the data or not, so we might as well get started. And a year from now, we will wish we started today. And what we promise as Cure MFM13 is that we will do everything in our power to make sure that this data serves its purpose of developing a treatment. It is being used as much as it can, and it doesn't just sit there. It's not another questionnaire that you have to fill out and then nothing happens. Lastly, before I pass on, I wrote down 2 quotes, very short ones, from mothers of children with rare diseases from when their communities were starting data collection platforms, because with rare diseases, it's mostly children, but not always. And the first one is about being your own advocate. And the mom said, nobody believes a crazy mom until they bring in a chart and suddenly everything becomes real. So you can use this data to advocate for yourself or for your child in front of clinicians. And the other said that most days I feel like I can't do anything for my child in terms of therapy development. And the days I fill out the surveys, I feel like I have done something tangible. So without further ado, I will pass on to Caitlin from Global Genes to walk us through the platform. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And thank you everyone so much for being here, and really excited to walk you through this data collection program. Just a reminder, if you do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will have time afterwards to address those. Great. So this is a really exciting day. This is the official launch of your data collection. The platform is live. So after this, you have the ability to go ahead and start logging in and filling out your data. So what is RARE-X? RARE-X is a program of Global Genes. Global Genes is the overarching kind of umbrella organization for rare diseases, and RARE-X is the research arm. It was really created out of a need within the rare disease community for data to be collected in a structured and standardized way that researchers are able to actually use that data to advance rare disease research, but really trying to make it as accessible as possible for advocacy groups, as well as for you all as patients and caregivers to fill out your data, be able to own your own data, but then also have the ability for any researchers to have open access to it. A lot of times data has been collected, but has been held over in a silo where they limit who can have access to it, and sometimes even the patient community doesn't have access to it. Here at RARE-X, we try to make it as open as possible for you all as the community to see the data that's being collected, but then also for researchers to have the ability to come in and look at the data and be able to do research with it. So RARE-X is the platform that we collect, connect, and share data on. So why did your organization choose RARE-X? So this is a global data collection program. So you can participate from anywhere around the world. We have over 40% of the participants. We have almost 10,000 on the platform. 40% are outside of the US. So we have a large global population of data. It is 100% patient owned and managed. So we at RARE-X do not own your data. We simply are providing the platform that it's collected on. Your patient organization, Cure MFM13, doesn't own the data. You all individually own your data. So you have the ability to, put restrictions. You have the ability to remove survey questions, anything like that. You have the ability to do it. You 100% own it, and we will never sell your data. There's no cost for you as the patient to participate, and there's no cost for the organization. This is a free platform. RARE-X and Global Genes is a nonprofit that we receive grant funding to be able to provide this to the rare disease community. There is no cost for researchers to be able to access this data, really helping kind of create that open access policy. All of the data is collected in a structured and standardized format. It's all a Q&A patient-reported survey format, and I'll show you in a few slides what that looks like. And then at RARE-X, we handle the governance. So we have an institutional review board that makes sure that we are collecting data in an ethical and standard way, making sure that we have the patient's best interest in mind. But really, by us taking on that, we relieve the burden from the patient organization of having to handle all of the governance. We also are GDPR compliant. We have a data security officer that makes sure that all of our global data is collected in that standardized format that meets all of the different restrictions outside of the US as well. So what is the benefit for you as a patient, caregiver, or family member? So at RARE-X, we collect data on all symptoms of the body. This really gives us a better understanding of the disease as a whole. Summary data is returned back to your community on a quarterly basis. They will receive a quarterly report that will give them a breakdown of the data that has been collected so far. And really, like the goal with us giving it back to the community leaders is that they'll share it with you so you can compare your symptoms to others within your disease community. You have the ability to update your symptoms at any time. So this is not a one and done data collection. You will get automatic reminders on an annual basis to go back and fill out your surveys again. And also just if you have new symptoms come up or symptoms change, feel free to be updating your information as frequently as you need to. With this, we really hope to be able to reach more researchers worldwide, and you have the ability to manage who has access to your data. So one of the consents you will fill out, you can put restrictions on who has access to your data, and that's really your ownership of your data. So this diagram here really outlines the patient journey into the data collection platform. So it really all starts with your patient community. You are all here because you are part of a patient organization. We have a community page that we have made specifically for your disease community, and that's going to be really your front door into the data collection. It's a great link, and I believe it's in the chat. If you want to bookmark that, I know the organization will have that on their website and will be sending it around as well. But this is where you will come to log in for the first time and then also log back in to update your data at any time. Once you get started on that community page, you're going to start the process of enrolling in the data collection platform. You'll go through basic matrix terms of use, patient consents, data sharing preferences, and then that will bring you to your first main survey, which is the head to toe survey. This is the most important survey you will fill out on the platform because all of the additional surveys branch from it. So it will ask very vague questions from your head to your toe. And for every yes or unsure, you will then get an additional survey. Then once that's completed, you'll be at your patient dashboard where you can see the additional surveys that are on there for you to complete. And I will show you what this looks like in a few slides. So here's a little snapshot of what your community page looks like. So like I said, this link is in the chat. Great thing to bookmark. But for the first time logging in, you will hit this red Get Started button. So this is where you'll go in and create your account. But any other time, once you've already done that you're just logging back in, you can just click on this blue login button. So before we get into the account creation process, just a few things that you need to get started. So you'll have to have an email address and create a password, standard just of creating really any account anywhere. We have a list of some of our approved browsers. So for the best user experience, we recommend using Google Chrome, Apple Safari, or Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer and Mozilla, and Firefox. We have issues with the platform just not working as well, but if you ever have issues, you can email into the support email that I will share later in this presentation. But what you don't need is a lot of time, and you don't have to finish it all at once. I always recommend that you sit down for, the first 20 minutes and create your account, get through the consents, and if you have more time, start filling out the surveys. But you can come back at any time. You'll get email reminders to come back and fill out your surveys, but you don't have to sit down for hours on end and fill it all out in the first sitting. So when you're on your community page and you hit that red Get Started button, this is the page that you're going to get. So this is where you're going to request access to create your account. So something important to note here, you can create an account as a caregiver for a patient. You can create it as a patient, or you can, so those are like the two main options. I will say if you are a caregiver and your patient is over the age of 18, it is better to have the patient themselves create the account. There's just some things that get kind of weird when we have caregivers making it for their adult patients, but if you ever have questions, we can help you with that. So you'll want to decide if you are signing up as a patient or a caregiver, and then you'll fill out your information. So you'll put first name, last name, email. You'll say if you're over the age of 18, and then this year you just have to acknowledge if you are in the US or out of the US. Like I said, this is a global data collection, so participation can be done from anywhere, but this is just acknowledging that if you are outside of the US, that all of the data is collected in the US. Once you fill out this page, you'll click Sign Up. You'll go through just some verification of an account creation email. Everything will always come from RARE-X. If you don't see it right away, maybe check your spam folder. Sometimes it goes there. You'll create your password. You'll do this whole email verification of creating your password. You'll only have to do this the first time you log in. Once that's complete, then this is the main login page. So anytime you come back, this is what the page will look like that you will log into. So you'll use your email address and the password you just created, and you'll click sign in. We do have our privacy policy and our terms of use linked down at the bottom if you would like to read those. Great. So once you log in, the first thing you'll have to do is agree to the terms of use. So Matrix, the first thing is the Matrix terms of use. Matrix is the technology platform that we host our data collection platform on. So basically this terms of use is just talking about, how the platform is collecting the data. So, and you'll only have to do this the first time you log in. So you'll go ahead and accept that. Then you'll go through an informed consent. So if you enrolled originally as a patient, you'll go ahead and start filling out the patient informed consent. But if you enrolled as a caregiver and then are going to add a patient, you will consent as the caregiver. And then once you add your patient, you will then consent for the patient as well. So our informed consent is 8 pages of detailed Q&A, just basically outlining how the program and the platform works, so like who's funding the platform, who's eligible to take place, like how long does the data, stay within the platform, all of that. So there's a quick summary of it, but then if you click the learn more button, it goes into more detailed. So once you fill out the informed consent, you will start filling out the general demographics for either the caregiver or the patient, whichever you created the initial account for. This will ask basic things of just overall demographic information of address, where you're located, health insurance, all of that type of information. Something that's worth mentioning is this is a de-identified data collection. So all of the data that the patient organization has access to, as well as researchers, will never have your name, any of your email address, anything like that. This is just for us to collect that demographic information to give a snapshot of where patients are located, what type of health insurance they might have. So once you go through that as either the caregiver or the patient, let's say you have enrolled as a caregiver. This is where you will then add your patient. So you'll You'll be brought to your dashboard. You'll click this Add Patient button. You can add as many patients as you would like. There's no limit. Once you click the Add Patient, you will go back through that same process that we just went through of going through the informed consent and the demographics. There is the ability to carry over demographic information from the caregiver to the patient. Um, it's always good to note too that whoever you are viewing in the left-hand corner is the appropriate person that you should be filling out the data for. So if you're a caregiver and added a patient, it's always good to make sure that you are filling it out for the appropriate person. When you are filling out the patient general demographic information, the most important thing to fill out here is where you're going to select your rare disease. So in the dropdown, you'll see MFM13, and that is what is going to connect you back to the entire data set for this specific community. You also have the ability to select other rare diseases as well. So there is no limit of how many, and that is what will connect you to all of the data sets. Here you can see these are some of the questions that are in the demographics section. There is always the prefer not to answer. We always encourage you to fill out as much information as you are comfortable, but just note in some of these, talking about estimated household income or health coverage, there is always the prefer not to answer option. Within the patient consent, you will go through the data sharing preferences. So this is where you have the ability to really own who has access to your data. By selecting the general research option, that means your data will reach, the broadest type of anyone who's coming in to access data, whether that be a researcher, whether that be a clinician, patient advocacy group leader, industry sponsor that's looking at data to start a clinical trial. General research is what we would recommend if you want it as open as possible. There are other restrictions you can put. So if you want your data accessed only for health, medical, and biomedical research, you can select that there. And you can update that at any time. So if you want to select general research but change your mind, you can always change that at any time. Once you're done with that, you're going to start that head-to-toe survey, which I talked about earlier as being the most important survey on this platform. So this is going to go through very vague questions from your head to your toe, and you will take this survey annually. From this survey, additional surveys will branch from it. So you can see how vague in general these questions are of, have you had issues with your head, face, or neck? For every yes or unsure, then that would branch to additional surveys around your head, face, or neck. If you say no, you should not be receiving another survey about that specific symptom. Up in the right-hand corner, if you need to pause and stop a survey, you have the ability in the middle of it, you can hit that red X button and it will save your work and you can come back at any time. We do have the ability to upload genetic reports and a team that curates genetic test reports. You also have the ability to upload physician notes or clinic notes that our genetic team is able to curate as well. We know outside of the US, genetic test reports are not as readily available, so we try to make it work with the physician and clinic notes. And you have the ability to do that on your dashboard here. Under Documents, you'll click Upload. This is where you can put the document. We just ask that whatever you are uploading, please make sure it's the entire document and not just the first page. If our team has issues trying to curate it, they will reach out to you directly to clarify. But this is a really important step. We highly encourage everyone to do so. So once you've done that, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. So in your new and in progress tab, this is where you're going to see all of the additional surveys for you to fill out. Under completed, that's where you'll be able to view at any time the surveys you have already completed. So for example, here you could see this patient had said yes to having behavior issues in bone and cartilage, brain and nervous system, digestive. So all of those that they said yes or unsure to in the head to toe, this is where the additional surveys will show up. This is an example of what a level 2 survey looks like. So specifically, this is for eye and vision. This is going to go a little bit more in depth into those specific symptoms. Do you see this symptom? What was the age that this first appeared? What was the age of diagnosis for this specific symptom? So this is really important as symptoms develop and or change over time when you're coming back in and refilling out your surveys. This is really where researchers are able to see that longitudinal data and really look at how symptoms are progressing over time. I mentioned the completed tab here. So every time you fill out a survey, it will never replace the initial survey you filled out. It will always just be in addition to that. So you can see here that this patient had filled out the head to toe survey, the health and development survey in January, and then they took it again in August. We see both instances, and that is what researchers will see as well. They will see each instance that the patient has taken the survey. If you go over and click these three dots here, you have the ability to view, retake, and you can email yourself your surveys that you've taken. You can take them into the doctor's office. You can take them into schools to advocate for yourself or your patient. Really, we want to make it as accessible as possible. So by emailing it, it will send you a PDF version of that survey. We have a full-time support inbox that if you are ever having any questions or technical issues or need a password reset or have a question as to why you're receiving a survey, you can email rarex@globalgenes.org, and or you could reach out to your patient organization and we will help you get the appropriate answers. Great. I will go ahead and stop sharing and we can start answering any questions everyone has. Yes, Todd.
Sorry if I missed this, but how many individual different surveys would there be? And is it
Yeah.
okay to do one and then come back whenever I felt like?
That's a great question. So there is not a standard set of survey number like for your entire community. It really depends on how the individual patient answers that head to toe. So let's say a patient isn't experiencing a certain symptom, but another patient in your community is. I would say on average, you'll have about 20 surveys on your dashboard. And there on the dashboard, it gives you an estimate time to complete. They are very conservative. Most surveys take less than 5 minutes to complete and are less than 10 questions. When you go through, you have the ability to answer as many as you want at once. You can come back and fill out, you can sit down and fill out one survey, come back, a couple days later, fill out another one. Really, there's no time restriction on when you need to fill out the surveys. You will be getting email notifications from the platform letting you know that like a new survey is available on your dashboard, or let's say you stopped a survey in the middle of it. Hey, we noticed you stopped in the middle of this. Here's the login button to log back in and finish completing your survey.
I see. Thanks.
Great questions. Yes, Cindy.
Well, did I understand that that's not just for MFM13? This is for other diseases as well. So if you don't have a diagnosis of this could maybe put you out there and connect with people that have the disease you have. Is that correct?
Correct. So this data collection platform has I think we're at like 98 specific rare diseases that are in that drop down. So when you go and select your rare disease, there is that whole list. You also could select other, and let's say if you have a specific diagnosis that's not listed, you can add that there, and then your data will be available for researchers there.
What if you don't have a diagnosis and they're just in the process of evaluating your symptoms and trying to find out what the problem is?
Yeah,
Could
so
you go
there's
ahead
the
and fill in?
option. Yeah, we would definitely recommend doing that, and you can select undiagnosed, and then let's say you receive a diagnosis in a few months or a year or however long it takes, you can then come back and update that specific disease.
Okay, thank you.
Along those lines, uh, we know that sometimes diseases and diagnoses change.
Mhm.
So, in fact, they could be your diagnosis could change, or the name of your disease could change.
Yep.
Does the system allow for those sorts of changes as well?
Yeah, so how the disease naming goes in the drop down, so we manually put that in. So like let's say if we know if a specific disease has changed names, we will go in and add that, but you can also update it at any point and select that other and type it in, and then it can be connected back. And we have a whole research team and data analytics team that is constantly looking at that and staying up to date with the new diseases that are identified and or have been changed names.
I see. Thanks.
Another thing I will mention too, there's a lot of benefit to being on a platform that has other diseases collected on it. So really the way that our data platform is structured is really to enable that cross-disease research. So we have researchers that come in and, request specifically like all neuromuscular diseases or all diseases that have a symptom of vision loss or hearing loss or developmental delays. Like there is the ability for researchers to come in and really do that based off of symptom, based off of grouping of specific diseases together. And we always, if a researcher requests your community's data, we let the patient leaders know and try to keep that open line of communication. So you all always know who is accessing your data.
So I should tell my doctor about our doctors about this register so that they can come in here and maybe compare notes with others or something.
Yep. It's great to let your physicians know that you are participating in this, and we have a whole process for them to get access to the data if they are wanting to look a little bit more in depth or do some cross comparison across other patients and other diseases. Yep, all of that information can be found on the Global Genes website for
Will
them.
there be information for doctors that maybe you want to contact that you've never contacted before? Like my doctor, they don't act like they want to bother with this. It's too late. Is there someone that you could say, well, in my area, who should I see? Will it have that kind of information?
Not at this time, but that's something we're definitely looking into. But yeah, I'll bring that back to the team and talk about that. But that's not something we currently do at this point.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? And if you think of a question after this meeting is over, you can feel free to reach out to the patient organization too, and they can help answer, and they can also bring me in if they aren't able to answer and need my help as well.
Caitlin, can you maybe talk about what is the process for researchers to make sure that people who are getting access to this data are actually they are the ones who only should get access, right?
Yes, that is a great question. So I talked about before really trying to make this data as open to access as possible. With that, that doesn't mean just anyone can come in and ask for the data. We have a whole process for researchers to apply to get access to the data, where we have a whole data review team that reviews each application and then also puts data use agreements in place, making sure that they have the proper storage on their computer as well as security to be managing patient level data. Right now, I think we have over 200 researchers accessing the data on the RARE-X platform. And honestly, on a monthly basis, we are getting, many applications. So which is a very exciting thing, but we also want to make sure that everyone that is coming in to access the data, has the best interests. So like specifically, if you put restrictions on your data, our data team makes sure that those restrictions are honored and not just the research isn't just getting the full data set if someone said that they didn't want, it available for general research or they want it specifically for health, medical, and biomedical research. So.
Thank you.
Great. Any last
Thank you
questions?
for explaining that, because when you said anybody can access this, I was kind of worried that, you didn't have to qualify in any way. So that's great. My
Yeah,
other
and
questions you answered. So
I will say too, with even specifically like the patient community here getting access to the data, we do require our advocacy leaders to go through city training, which is data ethics training, just so to making sure that they're not re-identifying patients and making sure that they're handling the data that we give them, in an ethical way. So here at RARE-X, we are trying to do as much education as possible within the rare disease ecospace as to how to handle data in an ethical way. So
And it's only the two of us, me and Sylvia, so
Yep.
not everyone. It's two people
Yep.
tops.
okay.
Great. Well, thank you everyone so much. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Caitlin,
Thanks,
for joining.
Caitlin.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.